Welcome to the Revenue Rewired podcast, hosted by StringCan Interactive's visionary CEO, Jay Feitlinger, and no-nonsense COO, Sarah Shepard. We're here to accelerate your revenue and give your marketing purpose. All right. Hello and welcome everybody to this special episode of the Revenue Rewired podcast. Hi, Ryan.
Hello, Sarah.
I've gotten so much better. I'm so used to saying hello, Jay. So I have to be very intentional when I have a guest. I told this to Susan too. Well, everybody, Ryan is amazing. And he and I, we're kind of like fellow nerds. And so I was like, listen, I think some of my other fellow nerd listeners need to hear this. So Ryan is our service operations director over here at StringCan. And funny enough, you're going to have to look at his LinkedIn profile because Ryan's job is very unique. And Ryan, I'd love for you to tell our listeners what it is you do over here.
Oh, wow. Thank you for the flattery, first of all. At StringCan, it's funny because title is Director of Service Operations, but it involves so many facets. But I'm trying to work on my elevator spiel, and most of it is ensuring that our services live up to the, what's the word?
Expectations of the clients, maybe?
Yeah.
Or your own expectations?
Yes, the quality of our services continue to level up and have a certain quality for StreamCan's expectations, and that we're impressing the clients with what the value that we bring. And so I know that's really vague, but it involves a lot of checks and balances and a lot of QA and coming up with new services that help our clients grow and thrive.
Yeah, and I think, what's so critical about your job is that you kind of help bridge the balance between the client services team, which is heavily relationship oriented. You have a very strong relationship um, skill set. And then you also have a very strong operational, logistical project manager mindset. So you kind of help like the work not just get cascaded, but in a way that is easy to follow, which I think can be hard to do. And so that is really critical, is that the work that you're going to do is explained well. It's the definition of done is there, and everybody's happy in the end. But you also have opportunity to make things better, which is part of our culture at StringCan. But Ryan, you definitely have that in your bones. And so Ryan's here today because we wanted to talk about data and why your paid media campaigns are optimized for the wrong things, probably. And that we have a couple of projects that we've been working on that are really deep. And if a couple of you are marketers listening to this, what's been so fascinating to me, and maybe it's because I'm just in a different role, but I have felt and seen so much more technological integration and innovation in marketing in the last couple years than I thought was possible. And I think that's why marketers are kind of struggling a little bit, especially very heavily creative ones, is that the technology piece is now actually becoming a part of the expectation. And so I want Ryan to speak to that a little bit because there's some nuance there. And we're going to apologize in advance if both of us use some nerd language and it's confusing. We're going to do our best. But Ryan, you had a couple of projects that I think people would be interested to hear, how I can make such a bold statement and why that is true.
Yeah. This year has been a lot of clients coming to us to say, how do we make our paid media campaigns more effective? How do we make our paid media campaigns not just give us leads, but we're having trouble with the quality of leads matter. And that's resonated with me a lot. It's a common question. It's not a new question, but there's so much data available and to optimize too. But the question is like, what is the most important data? What is the most important data that you have available for your systems? to use. And a lot of the questions that we've been asking at StringCan aren't what keywords are working or how many clicks you've gotten. A lot of the conversations we want to have, and we're fortunate enough to have really good client partners that they're invested in giving us this, which isn't always the case. And I'm very thankful for the clients that we have. Uh, in that we're talking about their business. We're not talking about their paid media campaigns. So the first example that I have is from a veterinary surgeon. They do spay and neuters and special surgeries for pets around the valley. And their challenge was we don't have an issue with getting leads, but I want to know which channel is the most valuable channel for our appointments and paid appointments and surgeries versus others. Where should I spend my money? And that seems like a simple question, but knowing what data to show that is a little bit less clear than just providing a channel report from your Google Analytics. What we had to do was we looked at all their systems together. They had a pretty complex tech stack. So they used HubSpot to gather their leads. They used paid media platforms like Meta and Google Ads to serve ads and send them to landing pages on their website. And then when they filled out a form or gave them a phone call, there was also platforms like CallRail to track phone calls. So they had all the bones, they had all the right foundation, but none of it was talking to each other.
Why
And
is it important though that it needs to talk to each other? Because I could see a lot of people going, yeah, and I just put it in a gigantic spreadsheet and it's fine.
yeah, the first thing that comes to mind is manual effort. You may invest in all these platforms and it may give you all those datas in separate buckets or separate places, but you're going to put it together. And you mentioned a spreadsheet, so you're going to put it all together anyway. And having that source of truth in one spot so that it can feed to all the other platforms that need it to optimize, like Google Ads or Meta, uh, having a good centralized platform or technology that then integrates with these other things allows you to not have to do all that manual effort to put it in a spreadsheet or set up things like Zapier to put it in a spreadsheet that lives in a silo by itself, um, but but gives you options for distributing that information into multiple places at once. And especially right now, a lot of CRMs like HubSpot are starting to leverage AI systems to help give you insights that you wouldn't have seen in the first place. So if it's hidden in a spreadsheet, that's a lot more manual work to get that
Sounds like you're
information.
really missing out on opportunities though too for um I don't want to use this word because I feel like I could use it too much today is like the integration and the feedback loops. I think you were alluding to that too, where it's not just a centralized place, but then it also can go feed back out.
Yeah,
So
let's talk about that for a second. So, with this pet surgery client, we were able to allow their systems. They had a ticketing system to handle appointments. They had their centralized appointment software that handled when the appointments were and their surgeries. They have a WordPress website and Google Ads. And because they use HubSpot, we were able to integrate all of these platforms to feed into HubSpot. So then HubSpot could tell if they filled out a form or if they uh, called the company, those contact records and that activity for that person, that prospect, would all get saved into one spot. So we would be able to see in one platform that they made a call and then they filled out a form. And then with the integration with their appointment software, made an appointment. And having all that in one place, along with HubSpot's integration or connector to Google Ads, uh, not only tells you in that contact record what campaign and what keyword converted that client or that prospect. That's one piece, but also you can make custom segments based on your most valuable clients. So anyone that had an appointment and this was the type of procedure, because you're integrating that in there, can then be fed back to Google Ads automatically as a segment or an audience for it to optimize against.
Okay, that is so exceptional, and I hope everyone hears that that's insane and amazing and really like next level. It's like it's like gasoline on the lead and CRM fire for your business. Now, I had cut you off when you were kind of like getting to what it really was that the client wanted. They have the bones in place and, but they're not all talking to each other. Now, Ryan, I'm gonna like be a little facetious here. That sounds all fine and well and good. There's plenty of tools like Zapier that can connect these things. I don't see what the big deal is. And you guys can't see, but Ryan's giving me eyeballs right now.
Your question was why is it important or why connect it?
Well, you were kind of like pretty awesome in explaining why, which to some people is as simple as feeding the machine, like learning from yourself, which is one of the biggest lessons that we're learning with AI right now. And you're learning from your existing customers and prospects, but they have all these things and they're not talking. But it seems like that should be an easy fix, which is not true. And why is that though? Why are all these things not talking in the first place?
There's so much technology and it's only getting more complicated. Technology and software is getting easier and easier to create and there's a lot of very smart platforms that you're told to work all together. But in practice, it's a little more technical and a little more complicated than that. The connectors are easy. Say you want to track phone calls, you use a platform like CallRail. CallRail has a connector with with several CRMs. One of those CRMs is HubSpot. The steps to integrate, I'm putting air quotes, you can't see them, but the steps to integrate are like 3 button clicks to activate. But after you activate it, you have to understand what data is being pushed to HubSpot. And not all of the stuff that is automatically pushed to HubSpot is valuable. Uh, it may push outgoing phone calls that your team, the company's team, is making, and that's data that you don't want to track. You don't want to track every call that you make inside your company. You want to track all the calls that are coming in to provide you new business. And so not every integration is easy or equal. It feels really easy, but you have to understand and work with support, work with the documentation and say what equates to revenue. I think that's the most important question I ask all the time is define what brings me revenue or what brings the company revenue, and then back that track towards is this metric that I'm looking at leading to that answer. And for our pet surgery client, it was appointments. What it wasn't clicks, it wasn't leads, it was I'm not going to count this as valuable until they make an appointment. They may inquire for an appointment, but until they make an appointment and complete that appointment, it's not valuable to me. And so we need to find a way and solve the puzzle to say what data will tell us that an appointment was completed. And then once we have that appointment completed data, can we match that to the record in the CRM that tells us from what source did they come from originally? Like what paid source did they come from? And then we can back into how much did that cost? We spent X amount of dollars on this paid media campaign. We attributed this customer to that campaign. They made an appointment and they completed it, which I think tells a much better story and tells the complete story so that our client, the company, can accurately say this paid media lead was worth this much because I can see the appointment they made and I can see what surgery they did and how much that equated to revenue.
Which is so smart and also so hard. There's oddly so many blockers to just getting to that spot, which blows my mind. But I'm going to lead you into our next example, even though I know you've got a lot more to share on the other ones. The next one, which I think ties into that, is, well, why would that be so hard to get to? Where does kind of misalignment, where can it come into play? So I'm going to lead you into that one.
Yeah, it's hard to get to that last answer of what equates to revenue for me and how does that link to what we're doing in marketing. Thankfully, we have some partners that bridge the gap between marketing and sales. And I find a lot of times when those two teams are not talking to each other and we're just talking to the marketing team, uh, that conversation gets lost. And I know we talked about this before, or Revenue Rewired's talked about this before on their podcasts. That if if marketing has a goal of leads and their only tool is to run paid media, then they're going to optimize towards clicks and form fills. And if sales is saying, okay, you're bringing me leads, but they're not any good, then sales is blaming marketing for the leads, and marketing can also blame sales for not working the leads that they brought correctly. But if they're talking together and we're optimizing media campaigns or marketing campaigns towards qualified leads, what we have to really get those two teams on board on what is a qualified lead, uh, and kind of row the same direction. We're not gonna measure our performance on form fills and clicks. That's the wrong definition of a qualified lead. With the understanding of both of them, they find out a qualified lead is has certain criteria. The example I think you're leading me to is a senior living community. They manage multiple communities all over the United States. And we are doing some paid media campaigns for a subset of their communities, and they have enjoyed the way that we've been talking to them about leads and qualified leads, that they're interested in bringing us more communities to help them. And in the discussions that we've been having, they are comparing us to their other paid media partner and trying to see like which is the better choice for them to go to, because one side has metrics that are very high as far as the metrics that their goals are, but the metrics that their goals are on this company B partner is based all on form fills and clicks. And so it makes their cost per lead very low because they're optimizing towards how many clicks they get, which equates to a high volume of clicks and impressions to keep the cost per lead low. But you're not, but we've been doing and what we've been doing from the beginning of these initial campaigns is talking about what is the most important metric that you want out of these campaigns. And what we distilled was move-ins. So residents moving in for the sales team was the most important metric to measure, and not cost per lead, but cost per move in was important. And so we started having those conversations So at the very beginning of our engagement, and asked them for the data that would lead to a move-in. So we found out that from move-in, the step before that was a tour of the facility, and the step before that was setting up the tour, or the sales team calling them and coordinating the tour with them, which equated to a qualified lead. And so we have one company, paid media partner, that's just optimizing half of the story, form fills and clicks, and we're being compared uh, to our story, which is optimizing not just towards form fills, clicks, but how many qualified leads did the sales team report they could work on? How many tours did that equate to? And how many move-ins did that equate to our campaign? Which allowed us to tell the customer based on that what the return on their investment was. So if we could calculate uh, cost per move-in, we could also calculate the lifetime value of that move-in and compare it to how much they paid for that lead. And because we're having those conversations, we were able to accurately tell our client that for each move-in, they would expect to receive 6 times the amount that they paid for that lead. And and they wouldn't have had that visibility without us asking those hard questions.
Which is incredible. And also, if I, were someone just listening to this, and honestly, marketing can be a little confusing sometimes, even with someone who's in the industry. I would have to say, well, ultimately, aren't both companies just kind of getting to the same place? Why is it that they're not when they are optimizing for those two very different things?
That's a great question. When I did the comparison between the two companies, so we were shared the campaign performance dashboards for company B. And when we compared our strategy and their strategy, we are both trying for the same thing, trying to get awareness of this company and trying to get them to engage with the company so that they could have more residents, have them move in. But what we found in the metrics was that if we compared them one to one, same to same, our click-through rate, the amount of people that saw the ad and click through, was exactly identical from our campaigns and the other company's campaigns. What was different about the two of us was the company B had many more impressions and many more clicks compared to our campaigns. Our clicks and impressions were much lower, but our click-through rate, the amount of that people were clicking, was the same. The difference that we saw between the two, the major difference is once we got to how many leads were reported, the the visibility stopped, the information stopped. And so you couldn't compare one to one. It was really hard to compare one to one because you only had half the story. Whereas as you could see company B had this many leads come in, you wouldn't be able to tell them how many of those leads sales talked to, how many of those leads became a tour, how many of those leads became a move in. So you didn't have the entire circle, you had uh, half a loop, which makes it really hard for companies to understand the value of their campaigns because they're only seeing part of the picture, and it's like they have this wall that they want to like peek over, but they're not given the step to look over the wall to see what the value is.
That's incredibly powerful from a visual perspective. Now, this might be an unfair question, but I'm also asking on the behalf of a listener. Okay, if the click-through rate is pretty much the same, does that mean then that company B is spending a lot more for probably, but we don't know really what the outcome is because there's a giant black hole after that. Is there any way to compare spend? Like, how would a company then go and make a decision after something like this?
That is a great question. Where I see the what I want the our clients to see is in our test, the spend over the last 6 month period that we did this comparison was about the same. The spend was the same. Equal spend, different metrics, different outcomes. And on paper, you could come to the conclusion that company B was outperforming StringCan, uh, because the only thing you could see that you could compare to were clicks and impressions. Um, More eyes saw my ads is the conclusion that you can make on paper. But what you can't uh, compare are the business ramifications, because company B is only optimizing their campaign towards clicks. And if you only optimize your campaign towards clicks, you're going to get more clicks. And if that, and I think that's not good enough. I think in order to understand the value of your marketing, you have to understand how it affects your company's revenue. And so I would love clients, I would love companies to really understand that if I hire a marketing firm, I don't want half the story. I want to be able to have conversations about how are these campaigns affecting for our senior living partner? How are our campaigns affecting move-ins? Not how are our campaigns affecting how many eyeballs see our ads. And so on paper, if we were to never have a discussion, it would look like company B was quote unquote doing better or winning, but they aren't having the conversation that equates to how are our marketing campaigns affecting our bottom line.
I gotta say, like, as a as also a business owner, that is such a hard thing because I would feel oh so conflicted because to be fair, I think a lot of agencies historically didn't track like that kind of information from the beginning. And it's been hard for us. You know, Jay and I have had conversations with people who are like, what you guys are trying to do, like tying it everything to revenue is really hard. We're like, we know. And they're like, well, why do you keep doing it? Well, because it's important and clients can't make truly good informed decisions about their marketing unless they have some of that information, you know? And so I think it's one of the things that has been a big culture shift here is the education of, you know, why it is we ask for what we do and how we go about using that information that I think is so incredibly valuable. Um, and it's not easy for a lot of companies, especially big ones, but I think hearing what Ryan says can make it even more impactful for some of you who might be marketers and or business owners. But I do want to get to the last one too, because that's also a very intriguing one. I'm going to let you tee that one up.
Sure. I think you already teed it up. Uh, Education is a passion of mine, and it's not good enough just to be a partner and do the work. I want our clients to uh, understand why. Why are we doing this? Why does this matter? And we just had a meeting with one of our aluminum extrusion manufacturers. They're an aluminum extrusion manufacturing company. And we've been working with them for, man, how many years have we been
I
working
think
with?
it's like 12 now.
12 years. And they have the systems in place to they're doing paid search and paid social. They also utilize HubSpot as their CRM. And we have had a lot of conversations with this client about how can we get the quality of the leads to improve, to be better. And we've had a lot of the education has been around visibility and of who are the right people. You can imagine aluminum extrusion is not a very broad audience. It's not a very big audience. There's only a few companies that need this. And so how do we cast a marketing net to find the companies that want this service without wasting too many media dollars and without being so targeted that we're not optimizing the amount of leads that we get. And to your point, Sarah, throughout my whole career of marketing, a lot of marketing companies provide the same metrics. They provide the same data because that's how performance has been shown. Clicks, leads, impressions. And through that education, we were able to get this client to start marking their leads as good leads, which in life cycle terms are sales qualified leads, SQLs, uh, or unqualified. And and our client would challenge us every time we asked him to do something in the CRM because he wants to know like is the juice worth the squeeze? Is my effort to put this data in the CRM going to equate to better leads? And so that was step one for the last we've been doing this for 12 years and he was able to tell me the life cycle process 2 days ago, exactly how we've been educating him. Google Ads helps me get visibility. Visibility goes to uh, the form fill or the website or landing page to fill out the form and get the lead. I then vet them and mark them as an SQL. And you, StringCan, are optimizing towards those customers or prospects that I've marked as SQLs and said, yes, fantastic. We recently did an audit for him to see how well his technology stack is able to adapt to AI now. So we all know AI is booming, and everyone wants to know how can I get seen by AI so that I get recommended there too, another channel. And through that, it was a little sneaky, but we were able to educate him about some other things that would really help with his targeting to get those good quality leads. And we started having the same conversations. We started having the conversations about not only would it be amazing for you to put what quality leads are in your CRM in HubSpot as SQLs, but if you could just put which ones turned into customers, that's one thing. And then the second thing, if we could get you to do this, we want to know what customer is a good customer, a medium customer, or not a bad customer. All customers are good, but like a low value customer as far as how much money they're spending with a company. And if we can agree on that, a and put that in the CRM, think about uh, now we're not just optimizing for good quality leads, we're optimizing for people that have consistently turned into customers and are worth a very high value historically. And so when we're trying to find that quote unquote needle in a haystack, we're feeding Google Ads, we're feeding the ad platforms a lot of this first party information that the company owns because they are the only ones who know who turns into customers and their value. They're feeding that information, not dollars and cents, but a category of this is a high value person into those ad platforms so we can really start making some fun strategic decisions on who we target. Uh, my last example uh, is we provided an example of in Google Ads, we may see keyword A receive 20 leads. Amazing. Total win. This keyword campaign got 20 leads. And Google's going to say, yes, this keyword campaign is working. We're going to optimize towards that. And we're going to continue to put our dollars towards this one that gained 20 leads. But we found out through data that this keyword campaign B received 3 leads, but all 3 of those leads became a customer. And Google, without the information of these people became a customer and these customers are worth this value, if we don't tell Google that information, it's never going to optimize towards keyword campaign B because it doesn't know. And those are the most valuable prospects for that client because each one of them turned into a customer, whereas those 20 leads in campaign A may not have resulted in a customer at all.
I mean, the platforms don't know what they don't know. And I think it's again kind of that loop cycle where, we like educating because I don't know that it's intuitive to a lot of individuals that, like the ad cycle, for example, the paid media cycle, which is what we're specifically talking about today, is that it is a feedback loop. I think it's
Mhm.
just always felt like a one-way street, but it's really not. It's just an indie track, And so that key piece right there, getting that information from our clients so that they can get like a match to their clients. It's just like dating or any other technological tool. They're going to optimize for interaction and engagement. It's going to optimize for the things that you need once it knows what those are. And so it
Mhm.
behooves us to really put in that effort. And I know this one, and he now knows. He's like, yeah, the juice is definitely worth the squeeze.
Yeah.
Ryan, I could talk to you all day on this, which I know would be amazing for the rest of the company. They would love us talking about all that. But for our listeners, we will have to invite Ryan back sometime. But Ryan, this was an amazing show, and I love these conversations. And I hope at least someone out there today gets an aha moment and they realize there's always a little extra to do, which is a little frustrating, but it's also really illuminating when you feel lost and maybe something isn't working. I think it's nice to just take a step back, unpack your process, and, reach out for help from a partner or a consultant or, someone inside or outside the organization to give you kind of like a second set of eyeballs, because there's always stuff people miss. It's a very complex industry and business, and we try to we don't do default. So we're here to help you.
Right.
Yeah,
Thanks, Sarah. Thanks for letting me nerd out a little bit with you. It was really fun.
totally. All right. Well, look out for those clips, people, and questions at podcast@stringcaninteractive.com. And Ryan, you have a great day.
Thank you. You too.
Thanks for tuning in to the Revenue Rewired podcast. Send us your questions to podcast@stringcaninteractive.com and follow us for more insights to drive your business forward.